Hey guys, this is Jaeger Task Guide. For acquaintance, for this task, we do need to find 3 Iskras, 2 packs of instant noodles, and 2 cans of large Tushonka beef stew in Raid, and then hand them over to Jaeger. So firstly, I just wanted to mention that you can actually craft Iskras at your nutrition unit level 1 in your hideout by using 2 crackers, 1 small can of Tushonka beef stew, and 1 can of squash. And it will take you just over 48 minutes to complete this craft, and it will yield you 2 Iskras. And just to clarify, for any new players, items that you do craft in your hideout are given a found in raid status, and they are able to be handed over for any task requiring found in raid statuses. But just know that this will be an expensive craft at the start of wipes, because squash is going to be used for the Hollow Dilnik thermal bag barter. So in patch 14, BSG ended up changing this task to require the instant noodles instead of the Amelia croutons, so that means that the Iskras are now the only thing that you will have a guaranteed way of getting your hands on for this task due to the craft. So you will end up having to get lucky and find the other items in actual raids, but I will end up going over some of the areas that you can routinely find these provisions in this guide, and I will give you guys a few different options. So firstly, the most common area, and where 95% of other guides and anyone that you do ask for recommendation will tell you to go, is going to be interchange into the Goshen back left corner. In this area of the store, you are going to have several shelves that will have food along all sides and also along the back shelves. But keep in mind that this is an offline raid in this video, so it's not going to be a good representation of how much food actually spawns here. But to give you an idea of what you can typically pull from here, it will basically fill a pilgrim bag. Now, with that being said, this is the most common food area in the game, and it is going to be insanely contested at the start of wipes, so definitely expect to run into people here if you don't get the closest spawn. And if you don't end up getting the closest spawn, then there likely won't be anything even left here for you to grab. Now, another tip for this area is that a lot of people don't know that the food can spawn in the floor units here. So if you do jump up on top of any of these floor freezers, then sometimes there can be items that were missed by other people. And there is also another area at the back of the store that has provision spawns as well, which essentially is an extension of this back left corner, and a lot of people don't even bother to go to here. Now, also on interchange, there is 25 or so possible 4x4 weapon crate spawns, and these crates do have a 30% chance to specifically spawn an Iskra. And it did actually used to be a 100% spawn rate, but that was recently changed by BSG, and also due to dynamic loot, then I can't tell you guys exactly where you can find these 4x4 weapon crates consistently, as it is mostly going to be completely RNG, but I would recommend that you guys use Map Genie and then filter the interactive map to help you guys locate them, as that will likely be the easiest way to figure out where they can be, and then as you do maneuver across the map, then you can check the possible spawns. Now, staying with these 4x4 weapon crates, there is one in particular that's not on labs that does have a higher rate of spawn on Lighthouse, and it is going to be at the top or the brown chalet on the middle level. So due to dynamic loot, if it did happen to spawn here, then there is about a 50% chance that an Iskra will spawn inside of this 4x4 weapon box. And lastly, for these 4x4 weapon crates, if you do want to try your luck on labs, all of these crates on this map are still a 100% spawn rate, so that can definitely be a guaranteed way for you guys to get your hands on the Iskras. But again, I would recommend that you use Map Genie to filter the interactive map to locate them, just due to dynamic loot. So now we will move on to areas where you will have provision spawns for all the items required for this task. So some of the options are going to be on customs at the fortress area, where you will have 8 provision spawns on the first floor, which I will be showing you guys in the background. So there will be 4 different spawns in the fire room. There's going to be a spawn on the bench underneath the main stairs, and then over by the armory room, then you will have a spawn on the table just outside of it, and then 2 spawns inside the room. One on the bed to the left as soon as you enter in, and then also one on the chair in the corner. And you will also have some ration supply crates upstairs if they did happen to spawn in for you in that raid. Now, there is also a couple of options on Woods being at the medical camp, since it does have several ration supply crates and also multiple loose provision spawns all around the camp. But it does end up getting looted fairly early every single raid, so if you didn't end up getting a good spawn for this medical camp, then you can always go up to the Scav town in the north part of the map by the car extract. Now, in this area, you will have 3 houses with multiple provision spawns inside of each one, and then you will also have the car extract close as mentioned, so you can end up going getting some items that you do need for tasks and then dip out quickly if you did happen to find anything that is going to be useful for you. And then lastly, one of the less talked about options is going to be on reserve, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this map because it is not really a favorited map by most. But on this map, you will have options that are going to be locked behind some keys, and also some that are in the open and always available. So firstly, there is going to be up to 6 ration supply crates in a close proximity by the big helicopter, with the first 2 being in a not so great spot to loot, but if you are in a scav, then I usually will risk it. But it will be essentially just to the right of the helicopter, just by this forklift, and then up on top of this platform. After you check these, then you will run around to the back of the Black Bishop building. We're in this back area, and then you can have up to 3 ration supply crates in these stalls back to back to back, and they will be on the right side up against the back wall. After you do check these, then you can go through the door, and then at the end turn to the left, and then go straight through into the room at the very end of the hallway, and then that is where the 6th possible crate will be spawning just on the right hand side. And of course, due to dynamic loot, then there's always the possibility of not all 6 of these different crates being here or available to you, but you are at least sure to get a couple of them. And then moving over to the underground bunker beneath the hermetic door in the K-Train buildings, underneath here then you will have 4 lock cages being the PSP-1 and PSP-2, and also the PSV-1 and PSV-2 locked doors. Now 3 out of the 4 cages down here will have ration supply crate spawns inside of them, so the only one that does not is the PSV-2 key, so just don't bother bringing in that one unless you do want to try your luck with some technical supply and medical crates. Whereas each of the other 3 will have at least 1 ration crate for you to loot. Now with reserve, the main issue is going to be, of course, the lack of good PMC extracts. So if you do happen to loot in the underground bunker, make sure to listen for the hermetic door alarm. And I mean, not like you can actually miss it, but if somebody does trigger it, then usually I will end up taking advantage of them doing me a favor and then dip out, since I do try to avoid D2 at all costs. And then lastly, I will just mention that I ended up finding all the noodles for myself in the backpacks of scavs this wipe, so just make sure that you do loot scav backpacks early wipe to find a lot of different items that you will need for these early tasks. So hopefully you guys found this guide useful and it does help you to complete this task. Thank you guys so much for choosing my guide to watch on this, and hopefully you have a fantastic rest of your day.